Today we've got something a little different. We're here at the beautiful Oxley Hill Farm Flowers in the Southern Highlands, New South Wales. And we're going to film a little mini series covering all things flowers, where we interview the staff covering soil, pruning, buxus, flower arranging, and much more. But first, we're going to start it off by meeting Candi Burger, the mastermind and owner of this beautiful space, and go for a farm tour. Candi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for
coming. This
coming.
place is incredible.
Oh, welcome to Oxley Hill Farm Flowers.
Tell me everything. Tell me what made you start this place.
It's an obsession with flowers. My whole life I've had an obsession with flowers. I wanted to get people to come and visit the Southern Highlands, where there's this beautiful climate for growing cut flowers, and to start something from nothing and teach people that they should be able to go out into their garden every week of the year and bring something beautiful inside to share and enjoy.
That is beautiful, and this place is incredible.
Well, let me show you around.
Thank you.
Let's go. Let's go.
Candi, these dahlias look so perfect.
Yeah, they're super healthy.
What would your #1 tip be for growing dahlias at home?
Always plant after your last frost, and it's got to be planted in a very sunny position in your garden. Lots of water. Dahlias are super thirsty, and also they're heavy feeders. So to push out lots of flowers constantly, you're going to have to give them a beautiful foliar feed. And the other thing is they're a cut and come again flower.
Yeah, because you're asking a lot of them, aren't you? You'll
Exactly.
take.
And so what you want them to do is produce as many flowers as possible,
Yep.
which means you've got to cut them as much as possible, and they'll just keep pushing out more flowers.
Yeah.
The deeper you cut them, the taller your stems will be.
So sun, water, food, pruning.
And don't forget about the soil.
Soil. Always have to look after the soil.
Everything. That's a whole nother subject,
That is
isn't
a
it?
big subject.
Yeah.
So Candi, talk to me about this mesh. I notice it's above all of the dahlia beds. It's obviously very important, but what's it
is.
doing?
Dahlias are a cut and come again flower.
Yep.
So a little bit of rain won't hurt them, but hail is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But it actually gives them a little bit of a windbreak, and also that burning hot sun, it sort of takes the edge off that as well.
Yeah.
Really helps them.
Speaking of the sun and the heat, how do you irrigate your dahlias?
We're very lucky here. We have bore water.
Yep.
And just remember, always test your water.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That's really an important step, testing your soil and testing your water.
And filter coming from a bore as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Dahlias are very heavy feeders, especially when they're putting on a lot of flowers.
Yep.
So we tend, when it gets really hot, to water them 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
always better to give your plants short bursts of water
Yep.
than deep watering once a day if
Okay.
it's super hot. As we are always thirsty throughout the day, so are your plants. And there's a lot of history of people saying that you should only water once a day and never in the middle of the day. I don't think that's right. I think that plants get really thirsty in the middle of the day, and just to help them with the heat of the day, give them a little bit of water, makes all the difference and stops that burn.
You're obviously doing something right.
They're really healthy, but they're very hungry.
But what is this burgundy hedge here? It keeps catching my eye.
So this is ninebark, and I've got it in 2 colors, and it is a hedgerow. We're using it as a windbreak. When you want tall, straight stems, you want to create a windbreak.
Of course, yes.
Because in heavy winds and high winds, your flowers will really struggle to get tall and strong stems.
And you've got them all around the farm, do you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what I've done is I've planted windbreaks, but I've chosen foliage, and it's flowering foliage.
Clever.
All around the farm, I've got beautiful foliage that
Yep.
we use for our customers
Perfect.
in bouquets.
Beautiful. So you've got a beautiful flower farm surrounded by farmland.
So you know, this actually was a paddock.
So
And
all of this
yes,
was all of this.
That's right. And we've worked really hard to convert it into a beautiful flower farm.
You have done a lot of work. How long have you been here?
It's been nearly 5 years.
Yeah, right. That's
Yeah.
a lot of work in a short amount of time.
Exactly. How beautiful is this baby's breath?
That is gorgeous.
So actually, this is planted on top of daffodils.
Yep.
So all of these rows here is a daffodil patch, and that flowers in spring.
Yeah.
And then we let the leaves die back, and that feeds the bulb. And then you've got the soil, you've got the irrigation, you've got the aspect.
Yep.
So we plant on top with our summer and autumn crop.
Just utilising your space as
That's
best
right.
you can. Yeah.
And it just looks beautiful as well.
It does, it looks gorgeous. You've even got some sweet peas still going.
That's right. These are late season sweet peas.
So Candi, not only is this place amazing and full of flowers, but it looks like it's been designed very deliberately.
Absolutely. So it's actually designed by Paul Bangay,
Oh,
who is a leading landscape
Yeah,
designer
yeah.
worldwide.
worldwide, very well known.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And so this is the first flower farm that he's designed.
Is that right?
So it's designed as a formal flower farm,
Yep.
but it is a destination flower farm. So it's a flower farm where you can come, have a tour,
Yeah.
do a workshop, but
Yeah.
it's a working flower farm. We supply florists and design florists in Sydney and around the coast, all around New South Wales, really. The design is that there's 4 quadrants
Yep.
around the central fountain. And the fountain it signifies the start and the finish of our day. It starts at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
and we all have a heart attack when it turns on because we're like, oh my goodness, it's already 7 o'clock. We've got to get that truck on
Oh,
the
the
road
truck
to
loaded,
Sydney.
yeah, yep.
And also, yay, it's coffee time because we start at 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, when the sun rises, because that's the best time to pick flowers.
Yep.
That's when they at their most hydrated. And so when you're picking flowers in your garden, you should never pick them in the heat of the day. You should always come out first thing in the morning,
Yep.
after they've had a beautiful drink and they're very perky. That's when you should pick your flowers to give you the longest vase life.
That's a very important tip. Is there anything that people should be putting in their water on that note for picked flowers?
Just have your flowers in a vase of water that is so clean you can drink out of the vase.
Okay.
So
Yep.
clean water
Yep.
is really what I tell people.
And replace the water every.
If you can,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also cut your stems at an angle.
Yep.
Because when you put your flowers in a vase and there is a straight cut, they're sitting flat on the bottom of the vase, they can't drink up the water. But if they're at an angle,
Yep.
then they can drink the water up. Some of the beds are permanent and
Yep.
some of the beds we sort of turn over.
Okay.
So the permanent beds are the roses.
Yep.
So we have a huge collection of David Austin roses.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
And they're very fragrant and they're very old-fashioned.
Yeah.
And we don't grow in tunnels. So the colours are beautiful and vibrant.
Yeah.
And the fragrance is really strong.
Yeah. I imagine walking through here with the sweet peas and the roses, the smells here through spring and summer.
Absolutely. So let's go and look at the sweet peas.
Oh, let's go.
So Ben, let me show you the sweet peas. So what we do is we plant them in succession.
Yep.
So we plant from the north back
Yep.
to the south. So that what that means is the sweet peas at the front have already started, gone to seed, and we've collected seed. But the sweet peas at the back here, they are still in flower
Yep.
and going to seed, but it's a beautiful backdrop for our roses. So sweet peas are cut and come again flower.
Yep.
What that means is that you cut them and they come again. And then when the temperature rises more than 20 degrees consistently, they start going to seed.
Okay.
And sweet peas actually put out these beautiful seeds. You can collect them and replant them. Over here, there's a whole lot of seed pods, but they're not all ready. So the ones that you can collect from is this one. So
Yep.
this one is ready. So you just pull it off. You can hear it. And then you pop it open. This.
Yeah, wow. You must get millions of seeds from there.
That's
from
right.
all of
And
these.
that's why we have these structures and we haven't pulled down the sweet peas yet, because this is valuable seed for us that we then go and replant on the 17th of March, which is St. Patrick's Day.
For people growing sweet peas at home, they basically only need to buy them once.
That's right.
And then they can harvest their seed.
Absolutely, and one sweet pea vine will give you so many seeds for next year.
Yeah. And what do we do with our seed from when we harvest to when we plant?
Right, so then you're going to keep it in a brown paper bag.
Yep.
Somewhere dry and
where you're not going to lose it.
And label what it is.
Yes,
and then you go to replant it.
Yeah, awesome.
The next year. And so what we do is we pull the vines down at the end of the season, and once we've collected the seed, and we compost. This is great for composting.
Yeah, okay.
And sweet peas actually feed the soil.
Yeah.
They are fantastic for your soil. So I encourage everyone at home, you can grow sweet peas in a pot.
Yeah.
You can grow them in a garden bed. And they honestly, one of the easiest flowers to start from seed.
Yeah, right. And just give it a frame to climb on.
That's right.
Yeah.
And lots of sun.
Lots of sun. Now, talk to me about this bed. This bed looks quite busy. Lots of different things going on here.
Yeah, so this is my experimental bed.
Oh, okay.
But I just want you to know that I have a whole lot of daffodils growing underneath this. So again, once they've finished in early spring, we let the leaves die back and feed the bulb for next year's flowers. And then we plant on top because we've got the soil, we've got the irrigation.
Yep.
So we sow a lot of seeds in our greenhouse and then we plant them out. So we've got beautiful celosia, zinnias, we've got lemon balm, we've got limonium, we've got status.
So this is your test bed. So what are we looking for? What will make them pass the test and become part of your catalogue?
That's right. So I'm just testing to see if my customers are interested.
Okay.
But also I grow a lot of cut flowers for drying because we do wreath making workshops and we do post out dried flowers. So we've got a steel edge bed that runs all around the 4 quadrants of the flower farm.
Yeah.
And in the steel edge bed is blossoms and hydrangeas.
Okay.
And we've got a whole variety of blossoms and hydrangeas. And the reason for that is you can have blossoms flowering then in your garden all throughout the beginning of spring into late spring. Here we've got the cans and blossoms and we've got roses in between.
Yep.
And I really try and soften the steel edge with petunias. I love pansies. Pansies are beautiful in a bouquet as well.
Yeah, yep.
And we've got geraniums as well.
Yeah.
So Ben, look at these. These are beautiful zinnias.
These are gorgeous.
This is the easiest cut flower to grow in your garden. You literally sprinkle in seeds.
So you just sprinkle the seed over the surface of the soil?
Cover them with soil.
Okay.
And they've got to have sun.
Yeah.
And they are just such an easy cut flower to grow.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
How to know whether zinnias are ready to pick?
Yeah.
You do the wiggle test. So what that means is you just wiggle it, and if the stem is rigid, it's ready to be picked.
Okay.
And if it's too soft, let's see.
Oh yeah, there's a huge difference, isn't it?
That's not ready.
And
so
yeah,
that's how we see.
It's quite firm. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. How interesting.
So here we've got beautiful cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
And these have got Annabelle hydrangeas underneath.
Oh, I love Annabelle.
And then these are standard cherry blossoms. And the reason why I've chosen that is because it gives light through to the poppy fields behind it. And underneath them are the green spire hydrangeas. So if you plant a variety of hydrangeas and blossoms in your garden, you will have a constant flow of blossoms and hydrangeas to pick.
Now, Candi, hydrangeas are one of my absolute all-time favourite flowers, and I can imagine they're one of your biggest sellers at a flower farm.
And you can propagate them, right?
You can. But are they a huge seller for you, the hydrangeas?
Absolutely. We cut them back in early spring. We make sure that the actual bush has this beautiful structure to it.
Yep.
And we give it quite a hard cut back.
Yep.
And then that gives us this beautiful new growth with this long stem. And as you can see, this beautiful green spire hydrangea is ready to be picked. A lot of the flowers are open at the top, and we will pick that and put it into bunches, and it's usually used in bridal work.
These are a little bit different to the macrophylla, aren't they? They flower on their 1 year growth.
That's right.
So you do cut these ones quite low compared to the macrophyllas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's incredible that all comes in one season, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. Ben, this is a type of hydrangea. It is a conical hydrangea.
Yep.
This hydrangea loves sun. So you plant this in your garden where it is super hot and sunny. And in sort of spring, you can cut them right back down to your knee height.
Yep.
As long as it's above a leaf node.
Yep.
And then you're going to get these massive long stems with this huge head on
They're
it.
massive. I imagine when they're covered in water, the stems would have to be quite strong to hold
But
their weight up.
also, they change colours.
Right.
And if you leave them and don't pick them, then the colours sort of go pinks and greens, and then you can leave them to dry.
Yeah.
And then cut them in September and hang them up to dry, and that's what we do.
So have dry flowers in the house.
Yes,
Yeah.
which are beautiful. So Ben, there's one more thing I want to show you. This is our chrysanthemum patch.
Just have a few.
So it's taken me quite a while to collect them, and we've planted them by colour, and hopefully they will bloom in time for Mother's Day.
Oh,
So we've got all sorts of chrysanthemums, the spiders, the disbuds, and we've got whites into blush, oranges, reds, and even green chryses.
that's incredible. So who's in control of making sure each row is the right colour and not missing that up?
That's where the labelling comes into
Yeah.
it. But what's interesting about chrysanthemums is that you can propagate them really easily.
Yeah.
So if you've just got one plant at home and you've planted that into your garden, cut that back at the beginning of December,
Yeah.
and you can use all those cuttings to make many more chrysanthemum plants, and you should have flowers just in time for Mother's Day.
How good. And I noticed they're under a cover as well, just like the dahlias. You've even got a nice little flower detail in this
Yes,
one.
Absolutely, my builder is the best. We had last year, just before Mother's Day, 2 weeks of torrential rain, and chryses don't like to sit in water.
Yep.
The buds, you've really just got that one time. It's not really a cut and come again flower. It flowers and then you cut it and it's done.
Yeah. A lot of pressure for a flower grower.
It is, and we're hoping that Mother's Day is going to be great for us.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed.
Yes, exactly.
Candi, thank you so much for having us here at your flower farm.
Absolute pleasure.
It's absolutely stunning, and I feel like we could have walked around for weeks and weeks.
Absolutely.
I have so many more questions, so maybe we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Deal.